August 13, 2018, is a day that all Huawei people are unlikely to forget. Then President Trump signed the National Defense Authorization Act for Fiscal Year 2019, which prohibited any U.S. government department from using products from China's Huawei and ZTE. On May 15, 2019, the U.S. Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security announced that Huawei was included in the Entity List. Some U.S. companies have begun to strictly enforce export control orders, such as Google, Intel and other companies, and gradually stopped cooperating with Huawei. Up to now, under the 4 rounds of sanctions by the United States, Huawei has basically lost its competitiveness in the smartphone field, and the Qualcomm SoCs purchased externally do not have 5G functions, including the newly released Huawei P50 and other new products, which do not support 5G networks. As the US's sanctions imposed against Huawei continues to escalate, Sino-US relations have become more tense, and China's domestic consumers have also transferred this anger to US companies, and the best-growing US company in China is Apple. Therefore, many consumers have sympathized with Huawei, shouting the slogan of "Ban Apple in China," and even some radicals have complained that the state has not done anything to fight back. I believe that many Chinese consumers or Huawei fans may have the question of: the United States can sanction Huawei, why don't China fully ban Apple? In fact, this matter is not as simple as it seems. In my opinion, there are mainly 5 reasons for this questions. Okay, and we are going to talk about all of them in today's video. The first reason is that Apple does not support US sanctions on Huawei. Although Apple is an American company, and the United States has indeed imposed sanctions on Huawei, this does not mean that all American companies are guilty parties. China has achieved all its development without firing one shot at anyone. If China really starts taking its revenge on all American companies regardless of the justice, then what is the difference with the behaviors of the United States? It will also turn into a country that only relies on the power of the state to restrict the development of foreign enterprises. It will not only lose its international credibility, but also make itself an overbearing country like the United States. Then no foreign-funded enterprises will be willing to invest in China in the future. Although this can hit the United States for a short time, China will also spoil the ship for a ha'pennyworth of tar. The second is because of the complex supply chain of Apple in China. Apple has been developing in China for more than 10 years, and it also has a very stable user base in the Chinese market, and Apple has also formed a very complex supply chain in the Chinese market. Although Apple is an American company, its largest factory is in China, so if Apple is hit in an all-round way, the supply chain behind Apple may be greatly affected, and companies such as Foxconn, Luxshare, Pegatron, etc. will be severely affected. A large number of workers will be unemployed, a large number of companies will lose orders and face the risk of bankruptcy, etc. You must know that most of the upstream and downstream industrial chains rely on Apple's orders to make profits, and these industrial chains have created a large number of jobs for Chinese people. If the domestic market bans the sale of Apple devices, 3 or 4 million employees will lose their jobs. As Apple's favorite foundry, most of Foxconn's revenue comes from orders provided by Apple. For example, due to the recent outbreak of the public health incident, Apple's orders dropped sharply, resulting in Foxconn's employees unable to work overtime normally, and their monthly wages suddenly dropped to $2,000 or $3,000, making it impossible to maintain daily life. Therefore, banning Apple is not as simple as it seems, and there are many implications behind it. China cannot let so many Chinese people lose their jobs and go bankrupt just to win this battle. China cannot repeat the mistakes of India. India banned 59 Chinese software, boycotted Chinese products, forced Chinese companies to withdraw, and caused many local people to lose their jobs. China needs to take it as a warning. The third reason is that the tariffs paid by Apple are an important fiscal revenue for the country. Although Apple makes a lot of money in China every year, it also contributes a lot to China's taxation, which is a win-win situation. Moreover, Apple has also used a lot of Chinese patented technologies. Especially after the advent of the 5G era, Apple also needs to pay Huawei patent fees after using Huawei's patented technologies. Therefore, Apple's development in China actually has a very important role in promoting China's economy, so there is no need to drive Apple out of China. Apple ranks third in the global mobile phone market, and it will be beneficial to each other if it continues to expand in the domestic market. Although its revenue in the domestic market has been declining, it still occupies a crucial position. With the continuous opening of the domestic market, more and more foreign-funded enterprises have entered the domestic market. Therefore, China must protect the legitimate rights and interests of foreign-funded enterprises. In order to achieve mutual benefit and win-win, China cannot sanction Apple for the time being. The fourth reason is that Apple devices are outstanding in terms of design and performance. As the first manufacturer to develop smartphones, Apple's iPhone products still have a lot of advantages so far. The last reason is that only cooperation can achieve win-win outcome. At present, the trend of global integration has basically taken shape, and most companies and markets believe that only cooperation can achieve win-win, and Apple is also the same. To this end, Tim Cook began to improve Apple's image in the domestic market, not only participated in a number of constructive projects, but also was invited to participate in activities such as development summit forums many times. Moreover, Apple did not commit any crimes, and we have no reason to sanction Apple. However, if the United States still insists on going like this way, we may ban the sale of American companies such as Apple and Qualcomm. It's just that our country will never take this action unless it is the last resort. The good news is that with the continuous rise of domestic mobile phone brands such as Huawei, Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo, the domestic market has gradually gotten rid of its dependence on Apple. In the face of all the US sanctions against Huawei, people's patriotism has become more and more prominent. Although China does not have the same sanctions against Apple mobile phones, most Chinese people have voluntarily begun to boycott Apple mobile phones, and more people choose to use domestic mobile phones. In this regard, Huawei mobile phones have become the first choice for consumers. Although Huawei's operating system cannot surpass Apple's mobile phone for the time being, Huawei is trying to catch up to narrow the gap with Apple's operating system. In terms of price, the price of Huawei mobile phones is significantly lower than that of Apple mobile phones, which is more in line with the needs of ordinary consumers for smartphones. To sum up, boycotting Apple is actually not that simple, especially when it comes to the national level. The country will definitely consider it more comprehensively and carefully. Okay, that's all for today. Please put your comments below, and share your insightful ideas with others. I am Tech Teller, the person to tell you the opinions that worth spreading every day. Thank you so much for your continuous support. See you.